Hello, Goodshafting back. Have I got something to tell you? Well, there's been a good shafting in court. And I can tell you, thankfully, it wasn't me that got a good shafting. So, I was in court because I'd had an order. I hadn't attended court. They didn't answer me when I wrote back to the summons they sent, asking them if they were addressing me as a living man or as a legal person. No bloody answer to that, I can tell you. Anyway, so they went ahead without even having my permission. And they found me guilty. They gave me an order and a fine. And said I got to pay them £500. £500. So I didn't pay, did I? Then they sent some more threatening letters. Threatening letters saying we will come and get your car, General Goodshafting. Mr. General Goodshafting, that is. Going to come and get your car. We're going to come and arrest you even. Arrest you. Yes. Not very pleasant, I can tell you. Anyway, I phoned them up, arranged time to go in and talk to them. Thought I'd put into effect some of my new gained knowledge about accepted for value. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Accepted for value. So, for those of you who've never heard of accepted for value, what is it? It's a method by which you can discharge an account, a debt, by accessing some of the credit that's associated with your birth certificate by writing to the Treasury. Got it? So, I've got my court order, fine, and I'm using that process to discharge the account, pay it all off, by writing to the Treasury and writing accepted for value on the court order. Thing is, I've got to speak to them about it down at the courthouse. They're expecting cash. They're expecting a check. They're not going to get it. You see? So, I've got to try and convince them that the accepted for value route is a valid route and that they should accept it. So I've got to do my work. Got to do my homework, see? Can't just swan in there and expect them to swallow it. So I've got some materials prepared. I'll tell you about them. So, I'm going in there with 3 documents that I've previously prepared. I've got my court order, the fine, detailing all the amount of money they want of me, and I've written across it. Accepted for value, exempt from levy, exemption ID, and my national insurance number. I've signed it, dated it, and written deposit to HM Treasury and charge same to General Goodshafting, all in capital letters, and my national insurance number underneath there. I'm also taking with me a non-negotiable bill of exchange that I've written out, which forms part of the instructions to the Treasury for how they are to conduct this matter and discharge this debt, and an affidavit. Now, an affidavit. What would I want that for? Well, I'll tell you. What I need that affidavit for is to show the court that I mean business, right? I'm going to tell them in my affidavit that I'm serious about this, and I want to demonstrate to them that I believe that this is an acceptable mode of payment. I believe that it is entirely valid and lawful, and if they're not going to accept it, then there's a risk to them, see? There's a risk that if I say that it's valid, and they've got no proof that it isn't, if they go and refuse it, they could be refusing payment. And if they're refusing payment, then they could carry the liability. Yes, I learned that from the anti-terrorist. So, anyway, I looked up some maxims of law on the internet, a whole stream of them. So I picked out some maxims of law that are incontestable truths of law, and I stuffed the affidavit full of them, didn't I? So, I'll give you an example. So, I'm going to use a negative averment of maxims of law to show them that it is incontestable, that they must accept it. Even though there is no proof that it is valid, there is no proof that it isn't valid. I'll read to you. In my affidavits, I contained the following phrase: I believe that the burden of proof lies upon him who affirms, not he who denies, and I have no evidence that shows that the method of settlement of the account by accepting for value is invalid, and I believe that none exists. Do you get that? What I was saying is, I don't have any evidence that it's not valid, and I believe that there's no evidence that it isn't valid.